Hello everyone, welcome back to RCH Builders. So today we're going to start putting this deck back together. These ones here are flat on the sides. They're kind of more like the original decking boards that are composite, as far as the fact that they're flat on the side. These over here have a groove on the side, and that's for the what they call hidden fasteners. You can still see them in between the boards, but they're not on top. You're not going to see screws going through them. They don't use the setup that they used back in the day. So you can see this metal strip right here that goes up right next to the wood. It was basically screwed into the side of the 2x, and then the material was set on there, and then you put screws through the back of that metal strip into the material. They do not use those kind of fasteners anymore at all. So the new setup, again, works with a groove that's in the side of these boards. I think what I'm going to start with, because it's going to use up more cut pieces, or it'll give me a bunch of cut pieces that I'll then be able to use in between the pieces, the uprights here for the seat. I'm going to start with the seat and then go from there. I might kind of do the seat, and then as I get a cut off piece, go ahead and start doing the flooring, just work our way across. But to figure this out, because I don't expect these to actually be square when it's an older setup, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a board up there, put one across this way, and then use that to determine where and how I exactly need to cut them. And then we'll just figure out where it's going to land on one of these to cutting the other end. But I'll fit that corner first and then go from there both ways. Again, I don't expect it to be square, so I don't want to just measure it and go with it that way. So that's sometimes when you're working with old stuff, that's what you want to do. You're going to use a tape measure and straight edges more than you are going to use a level and a square. So, but anyways, gonna get started. So with this one being the last part of the step, the others, if they're slightly twisted, it's not going to be a big deal. The fasteners will still work. But with this one being the end one, we want it to look nice and straight. So that's why I'm using 2 of the surface mounted screws on it to tweak that back square on the end there. Otherwise, I'm going to do it just in the back. And that's just because the fasteners won't really work right up against the piece of metal. The piece of metal holds it out the way. So I'm going to use surface mount screws along the back, and then I'll start with the hidden fasteners down through there. The one in the back will pretty much be hidden by the slats coming down anyways. So these right here are the hidden fasteners. Basically, this side will go into the groove on that board, and then the other side will slide into the other, and then this space will maintain the distance that you should have for the expansion joint in between the two, and for, you know, just water drainage and all that. But this is what all they are, just slides in, screws down. When I do this first row here, when I put them in, I will leave them loose. Then when I get the next row slid in, I will then tighten this down so it makes it easier to slide the second piece in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these across here. I've actually got some sitting right here. Those are for the piece that's going to start the back. And then I will get that one. I'll cut that end off down there where it's flush once I make sure this is lined up good. Not flush, but where it splits that one down there, and screw that one in, because again, as I do each one of these, I'm going to have to do the same thing, kind of line it up to figure out exactly where it needs to be cut and make sure that my joints aren't in the same spot. You can see that groove just runs all the way down through there. So probably going to go ahead and put it on hyperlapse now. It's basically just going to be cutting, fitting, putting it all in. But that's how you install these boards. All right, so I've got them across here a good bit. I've been having them at a 1 degree angle so that they are all consistently getting slightly longer, coming around to start a slight curvature. Not much, but now I'm going to need probably for it to start curving more. The original board did not follow this exactly because it's too heavy of a bend for it. But I got to put this piece on to determine where I need to continue cutting those. So I've had it sitting over here laying in the sun, getting nice and warm, hopefully to where it will bend a little bit easier. And we're going to have to just slowly try and bend it. What I'm probably going to do is just kind of put it, let it run long slightly up over here just a little bit. I'll then cut it off later with like a sawzall and a metal blade or something, but I'll let it run slightly long, and then I'll pull it in with these clamps coming around, and then again I'll probably just take a sawzall and cut it off over here. It'll be the easiest way to get this on without knowing the radius. It's very difficult to figure that out. Much easier just put it on and then cut it off. So that's what I'm going to start doing, is getting it formed in there and then go from there. right, there we go. So I'm gonna cut it off later. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm gonna continue working with the regular decking boards. Now that I have that there, I can do that, and like I said, I'll come back and screw and lop it off later when I worry about getting all the other edging and do the bottom piece. So, but gonna go back to working on the rest of the deck. So with that bottom piece right there, I didn't want to waste an entire 20-foot stick. So I estimated it, with it being a little long, ended up being about 8 inches long. I just got a rough estimate, and then I measured at multiple points because this ground goes up and down. So I actually did 4 points on this board where I went down kind of flattish, back up, back down, and when I did that cut, the only thing was, and more, it's because of the 8 inches long, it was just a hair too high over here. I had to take a little more out, but that was pretty good considering what all I had to do with it. But just going to show you real quick. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So we got a 1/4 inch overlap on the chair back, basically, and side. And then I've got the side down here tied in to the flower bed, basically. So that's this side is completely done. Now I've really, as far as this deck goes, I just got to bring these across the side pieces here, and then lop these off. I got one more piece to go across the back of that seat bench right there, but I was kind of I was not going to do it until after I did this one over here, because this side is really not square. That's why I've been doing it last. It's really out of square, not very plumb straight, so I'm having to tweak it the whole way. So I'm going to want to put this side on before I do that last top piece, and I still need to do the rip piece along the edge over there. There's a step right there I got to do, but before I do that, I'm going to have to rip these handrail 4x4s out, and then we'll work on going up through these stairs. So that's part of where I've been saving all these pieces. I think these ones are going to be long enough for the deck that's up top above the stairs, and a lot of these are going to be long enough to be cut down for the stairs themselves. So a lot of these pieces over here probably not going to be useful, except for in between the legs for the bench. But I like to wait till the end to throw it away. Here we go. This deck and the stairs are done. So, of course, we ripped it all off and put it all back down. Had to work with this bench being a little crooked, but we got it. We're looking nice. And then these stairs are not uniform, but we've got it looking nice as well. So this is what the homeowner wanted to use. This is a Trex cap version. Basically goes over the 4x4, and then has Trex. You cut them down. They come in a kit, and then you cut them down to the sizes you need and use them. What we did with these, when you get these kits, these pickets are all black. The homeowner didn't want that because he didn't want to have too many different colors out here. We got gray, white post, white siding, brass hardware on the doors. He just didn't want to add another differentiation to it. So he decided to go ahead and take those to his shop. He owns a powder coating business where he powder coats for large industrial companies and stuff, and so he just took them there and had his guys sand them down, remove the black finish, and then powder coat it with white. You could do it with Rust-Oleum if you're wanting to do this yourself, but a powder coat is going to last for years and years because it is actually baked on versus a spray on Rust-Oleum. So the Rust-Oleum is more apt to bubble, crack, and flake a lot quicker than a powder coating. That's why, like, a factory paint on your vehicle is going to hold and stay that color a lot longer than if you were to spray paint over it with just a spray paint. But anyways, yeah, so this is done here. Stairs all the way up and everything. So, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you the next time.